Good day, everybody. Welcome back. And Bill McCabe here at the Iron Crane Dojo. And we're going to expand a little bit on what we shared with you in our last video, the second kata out of Ishin-Ryu, which is Bo-Shi-Shi. And I just want you to have an idea about what distinguishes each kata from the one preceding it or the one following it. Basically, there's three fundamental forms in that style, and each form has a particular set of lessons that you need to be mindful of as you try to perfect your technique. So, revisiting the form, and what I'm going to do is here is just go through it slowly, and I'll pick out a spot where I want to make a comment, and I'll do that just to share with you some of the ways that we look at it, and that'll be our approach throughout this particular clip. So it starts essentially the same as the first form, and right here you enter a sequence which is distinct to this particular form. And that sequence is often referred to as the Bo-Shi-Shi pattern or the Bo-Shi-Shi sequence. It shows up everywhere in the form. So when something shows up in the form more than 3 times, that's telling you that it's very important to get. So the sequence looks like block, strike, and cross-body strikes in rapid flowing continuity. And you have to imagine, so when it kicks you, you block, and you strike their head, then you block again, and you're doing a series of rapid-fire machine gun-like strikes into the person. It's very difficult to block because every strike is followed by one on its opposite side. Okay? The form continues from there with a side move, and you execute the rollover across the hip lock, which looks something like this. The power of this block is attached to the center line of your body and the rolling of the hips and coordinated with the movement of your shoulders and your arms. It's a very powerful block. So as a crossover move, if I face one opponent and I'm here, and I sense an attack coming quickly from the side, it's a very quick crossover move. Now watch how this might work. See, I'm dealing with this guy, and the guy's coming at me from my left shoulder, and I do a quick, relaxed sighting of him. Watch what the left side of this bow is doing. It's raking across his eyes, his skull, or his hand as the second move follows immediately. And what you have is what appears to be a 2-move blocking sequence being something much more complicated than that. There's things happening all throughout. Here, look what's happening low. When I'm blocking high here, you're covering the low position. When you come back, you're raking again with this side, and you're blocking the high position. So many things are happening, and you can develop your own visualizations here. You continue with another repetition of the Bo-Shi-Shi pattern that we just talked about. Okay, and then the kata just continues to unfold. This repeats what we just did. And this move was essentially in the first kata, but you develop another walking forward striking sequence, which is a little bit unique to this form. So I'm going to give you an opposing view of that. Just block, hook, then walking forward. Okay. That particular sequence occurs in several fashions within the form, and is one of the hallmarks of the form, the ability to step and strike and maintain coordination and purpose. So you're here, and you just cleared, you go back, attack coming straight over the top, block. And this is the first of the piston strikes. A piston means you relax and you strike. It's just like the piston which drives the wheels of a train. And this is one of the ways to develop power. You can watch how my body's moving, and over time you develop that within yourself so that you're hitting effectively and with purpose. Rolling back, strike, strike. So I'm here. You attack me with your hands, or with, say, come at me over the top with a bow. I knock it aside. I drive through your defense, and I follow up. 1, 2, both sides of the body, and finish. 1, 2, and then finishing you. Driving hard, downward, full weight bearing strike. Downward striking sequences. This is also changing direction, changing sides, also within the form. When you train with those, you train going down to your knee, but in an actual fight, you don't necessarily do that. Okay, so for example, I do the first move, I clear, I just go low, and I go low. And many times I practice it as a low move. The next sequence, which is within this form, that also shows up in Tokumini, but is being reinforced in this form, which is stutter step strikes. I used to really puzzle about the true meaning of or purpose of stepping like this, and I understand from my readings and explorations, and also from speaking to his friends, that Master Ed Parker had concluded that that sort of a step, the reverse cat step, was most effectively used if you were doing strikes while ascending or descending steps. And after experimenting with it, whether it's true or not, I decided it was worth doing that way and thinking of it that way, because it didn't make sense. So when you're here, just imagine you're going up a step, and you can sort of see how it works. I actually do this going up steps. So if you're ascending steps, this would be the way to do it if you had a bow. And if you were coming down, this would be the way to do it if you were coming down. Which brings you to the next sequence, the power moves in quick succession. Before, we did a series of moves walking forward. Now we're doing thrust. 1, 2, 3, and over. Inside Oshishi, you have a couple moves that are broad, full-bodied, power-down moves, and this would be one of them. Okay? And in Oshishi, you have to do this move, you have to lift, up, and this is a roof block, and guiding yourself underneath the roof block. We like to do a variation of that, which is this, and you can see it in the other tape. It has a little bit of a more comfortable flow. 1, 2, going down once again. This stuff should look essentially the same as what you've seen before. And the final moves are driving straight up and through, which is unique to the second form. Straight up and through before finishing Oshishi sequence. And straight up and through. And then the finishing sequence has a unique jump, strike, finale. That's unique to Boshishi, and that ties together just some of the fine points that you need to be thinking of when you do it, and having those as points of distinction between the first and second forms. And you can look at our explanation for Tokumini to see what I'm talking about. Okay, so hopefully that'll give you something to think about. We'll come back before long with the third form, also with some explanations. Take care.